Let's start. This meeting is being audio and video recorded. Shorter examples, all right? These may be a minute or a minute. Let's start on the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag and to the religious estates, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call.
Dr. Crabtree. Here. Charlotte Crane. Here. Dr. Oberwein.
Here.
Todd Emersay.
Here.
Mr. Farella. Ellen Lazori. Elizabeth Lounsbury. Anzio. Mr. Stewart.
Here.
Sarah Tucker. Kimberly Weatherall. Rich Peters.
Here. We have a quorum. So this meeting was already a scheduled meeting, but really making the focus on the superintendent search. But first thing up is we wanted to see if anybody has any objections to moving the April 17th meeting, April 10th meeting to April 17th. I don't know if there's any objections to that. Yeah.
I won't be here. I won't be here.
So okay, I won't be the 17th.
Correct. 17th. I could be here on the 10th, but not the 17th.
So a lot of people can't be here on the 17th.
Right.
So maybe we just leave it at 10. I don't have any issues with it, so it's just more giving a break, because it's a little busy lately.
You think?
Being on the 10th would help me with the regional agreement.
Yeah, okay. Why don't we just stick with the 10th? It sounds like a lot of people can't be here. So. All right. Okay, that takes care of that. So next up is the reports personnel. And first up is the superintendent search, which we're going to hard work on. So the first thing we're going to do is actually the main reading for this is acceptance of the interview questions. And what I did was I polled everybody for questions from that extensive list that we had, and I took all the questions that people sent back to me that they wanted to ask, including some that weren't on that list, and I added it to the list, and I eliminated ones that weren't asked because there was a lot of questions on that list. So I have a pared down list that we're going to work from, and it'll be up on the screen for us here. And there's questions in there that the questions in red will be ones that were asked by the search committee at the screening interviews. And several people asked for those questions. You know, when I asked for people to send me questions that they wanted, several people sent those questions to me, even though they were asked, and it dawned on me they weren't there for the answers. So it's legitimate to ask them again. So obviously people want to hear those answers. So we want to settle on 10 questions. So folks get 5-minute answers for each question, and we have an hour, so we want to have a little time for discussion on those questions when they give an answer. So we want to pick 10 questions. There's about a dozen categories here. So what I'd like to do is possibly go through each category and pick our top question from that category. We'll go down and keep going down the categories. And if we come up with too many, we'll probably have too many questions. We'll have to pick from that list and eliminate a few questions. Does that sound like a reasonable method to go through?
Yes.
Yeah. So the first up is the financial and budget management. And we can take a few minutes. I don't think all of them are up there, are they? Because there's quite a few on this one here. So
yeah, that's the end of it.
yeah, that is the end of it. Yeah, that last one.
Keep it right.
Yeah, we got them all. So maybe take a few minutes to go through it, and take like maybe 2-3 minutes, go through and see if you want to have a discussion about which ones we can pick.
I like the one that's given today's environment and unprecedented uncertainty. Blah, 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 blah. I like that one. You see, it's the next to the left.
Anybody else have any preferences on any of them?
I do like to look at how would you handle a scenario where a community strongly resists budget increases.
I like that
Yeah,
one.
I agree with that one, Charlotte.
So we have two potentials.
I think we could probably combine that one with the face budget crisis. What do you prioritize?
I mean, the two that were put together, or
The one that Charlotte just said about handle a scenario. Community strongly resists budget increases, yet the district faces growing demand for services. Combine that with the basically what do you prioritize?
Combine it with what?
When
The
faced with a budget crisis.
Third one,
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, that kind of fits, David.
they kind of fit
Yeah.
together.
well, you could also put, given the uncertainty.
Yes.
The unprecedented environment.
That's true.
That's right. Yeah, you got one. I mean, well, really, that's just an adjective on those things. I mean, that's not a bad idea, actually.
Right.
Collaborate and get it together. I mean, what we're trying to do is, you're trying to highlight the challenges that we have right now. And quite frankly, the adjectives are up there for the challenge that we have right now. The, uncertainty, okay? The, lack of funding available and, yeah,
Yeah, I think
growing
overall,
demand for services.
we're trying to ascertain, like, how do you balance the needs of having fiscal responsibility and also meeting growing demand for services, which we know exists.
Right. And trying to do something that the community gets behind.
Right, yeah.
So do we want to do a mashup?
Yes.
All right, somebody want to dictate the mashup?
Nope.
So how would you handle a scenario? Well, maybe we take out the how do you handle the scenario and just do given the environment. Because basically, how to handle the scenario, essentially you, like, I mean, I don't know, you're answering the question, you're going to be talking about the scenario that we're in, right?
I think,
So,
I think you could say, given today's environment and unprecedented uncertainty, how do you meet financial sustainability, or how do you maintain financial sustainability while also meeting growing demand for services?
I like it.
Within a community that strongly resists budget increases.
Good, we had that at the end. I think that's correct.
Somebody get that?
Being recorded, right?
Yeah, that's.
Do you,
That was good, really good.
what do you think? So that's question. Do we want to get that on paper real good so we can see it up there whole? Any chance of doing that?
I don't know.
Try.
I don't know if you, I got it.
Just so we can see the actual text, make sure we're all good.
So how do you maintain?
Yeah,
I mean, it's essentially part A, B, and C of the question, right?
Yeah. But it's basically a bunch of adjectives about what the heck the scenario, the situation we're in.
So was that?
So
How do
how do
you
you maintain financial sustainability while meeting the growing demand for services?
and
Right. I mean,
community.
Yeah, I just didn't want to throw too many words at once.
And then something about prioritization. What's the,
Well, that's the demand for services.
well, if it's, but that might not be the candidate's priority, right? They might prioritize cutting services to keep the budgets down, to keep the community.
Well, we want to hear that too.
Right. So that's, I mean, so it's kind of leading on to say demand for services. It's kind of leading for an answer there.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Well, not if it's a if it's a reality, it's a reality. There's a growing demand for services, so, I mean, I don't think it's leading.
Stating.
I think we don't need to put today's environment unprecedented uncertainty. I think it's given today, if we don't, if we want to cut words out, we don't need to have those words in. If they don't know that, they shouldn't be applying for this job.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go to the next category. Strategic planning. We're only.
Hey, Rich, I have one question.
Sure.
Are you planning to do the ones that are highlighted in red and the yellow one that we just highlighted from financial, or was it just the one we highlighted in yellow?
Just one we highlighted in yellow. The red ones, we're picking, the red ones are red because they were asked at the original, screening committee. So the candidates already answered that question, but not everybody heard the answers. So they're open to be used again, for sure. But, just highlighting the fact that they've already answered that question in the search committee. That's the only reason they're in red.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So next up, there's two here, one that was already asked and another one that somebody asked to be included as well.
I like both of them.
Well, I mean, if we were gonna ask one of them, did the search committee feel that the other one was answered well by everyone?
The reason the ones that the search committee asked for, I actually got a lot more responses from the search committee. There's a lot more people in the search committee, and the questions, almost all the questions that were asked, at least 4 or 5 people asked for that question to be asked. So there was a lot of people interested in that question, though that's why they were asked. So, this committee, several people here heard the answers to that, but not obviously not the full committee. So we can ask it again, for sure. There's no reason not to, but I'm just saying, these are the two that this committee sent me back saying, I like these questions to be asked. Somebody said they like these questions to be asked. I don't remember exactly who, but, so we have 2 to pick from in this particular category.
Well, if we're gonna ask one from this category, I would go with the one in red because it's more specific to us.
Okay. Any other objections to that?
I think the one that's in black is a little bit confusing because if they have not been a part of our district, then we're asking for experience of them implementing innovative programs, but then that could benefit our district. I would rather either hear about their experience implementing innovative programs or their, thoughts on what innovative programs they think would benefit the district.
Yeah. I think some of that too might be covered in curriculum as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see similar questions in curriculum, so.
I'm happy to go with the red one.
Okay, so let's. Yeah, there's curriculum. There's 2 in there.
And the second one was submitted by somebody. Somebody wrote that.
Yeah, it wasn't in the list. That was one that was submitted. There's several of them in here that are like that you folks haven't seen yet.
Okay.
That is one of them. Right. I should have mentioned that. I certainly like the one about question 2 because that, so that's really relevant now today, right? So. Giving that in cats. It's not a requirement.
I like the one too much. I think that's a good add-on.
Thanks, John.
He likes question 2, the second one too.
What do you think? What's up, Jake?
No, I'm just gonna say that 2 questions, so we ask them both questions, it's the one bullet is 2 questions.
Oh,
They're 2 different questions.
What do you see as the
Oh, okay. So should we break it apart and just call one and pick one of them?
Or whatever.
Yeah, good point. I do like the question about MCAS.
Yeah,
If that's the question too, I think that's an important.
very timely.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, it doesn't, I mean, the answers aren't gonna give us much about curriculum though. Just like their opinions on standardized testing.
Curriculum and instruction.
Strategic plan.
But you're right. It's also very high school based, not elementary school based.
I think put back the second part of the question, so that's the proper follow-up.
Keep it in there as it combines. It
Yeah, and how do you ensure high quality?
Yeah, put it in.
Make it one something.
Get rid of the question mark. Put it
Yeah,
in there, you know.
Yes.
Run on that. Yeah. But, I mean, that is important. Well, we do MCAS at the elementary school level too, right? But I mean, the real thing that happened was it's not tied to graduation, so.
Right.
But I think it speaks to, you know, the testing, standardized testing, the issues there.
You may highlight both and then come back.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to eliminate questions here and there, probably.
It seems like the one on question 2 is sort of debating something that we don't need to decide. Like it's already been decided. Question 2 has been answered, right?
Well, it's not that, it's what do you do for
It's,
standardizing, you know,
yes,
instead of,
it's not do you
Yes.
want or do you not want, it's what are you gonna do instead?
right. What you,
Right, the first part of that doesn't say that. It's sort of a debate onto the value of standardized assessment. Right?
Because of the passage of question 2, how do you ensure?
What do you see as the pros and cons of standardized assessment? Right, you know, it's
Right.
it should be more like, you're right.
how do you
No, you're right.
use standardized assessment, or you know, where's the value of that?
Or what is your criteria for graduation? Right, what do you use for criteria for graduation?
Now, with the passage of question 2, that is up to the school district.
Right.
Then, right?
So you're asking the superintendent a kind of a philosophical, what do you think standards for graduation should be?
I think you just made the question.
Yeah,
I like that.
There you go.
okay.
That's the question. Keep that.
Can you repeat it?
Well, with the passing question too, what should be the requirement for graduation? What do you think the requirement should be for graduation? Doesn't sound, you know,
Because I think
elegant, but
the law says that it has to be standards that are essentially equivalent to what MCAS provided, right? Isn't that what the law? I see some heads nodding. So
is this not even worth asking?
Well, yet it can't be in.
sorry, Mike.
I mean, if it isn't, so you're telling me, which I don't know, that this is already carved in stone. You still have to use MCAS to
No.
actually graduate.
No, but
In
there
fact,
has
you
to be an
can't.
equivalent to the, but I know you guys are trying to bite your tongue over there. Mike's really trying. Jake, can you,
I'm actually not, just.
question 2, I
Probably Mike
think it
is
was,
less would be better.
Mike's ready.
Just met, so we need to discuss this. It's currently.
Hold on.
Curriculum just met to discuss this, and it's not really written in stone. But what we do know is that for one, you absolutely cannot use MCAS, as some school districts already tried to do that. And there are, you know, what we think DESE might come out with, but then nothing is for sure.
Can I
Go ahead.
Yeah.
elaborate? Basically what, I think this is still a work in progress, to be honest with you, on the state level. Basically what they're telling us right now is that we need to ensure that students are proficient in all the things that MCAS tested them in. So, in other words, anything that was tested on an MCAS, which comes from the curriculum frameworks, we have to ensure they're proficient in. So, we would have to make sure that our, well, I don't want to go too far, but our instruction has to be standards-based, based on the frameworks, and we have to have some way of also measuring that or determining that.
So it seems like the second part of the question is basically what the state is asking us to figure out anyways.
But we do have to come up with, it's not a bad question, I mean, we do have to come up with a plan which we are doing, honestly, that has to be, which is what we presented to curriculum, and then it has to be presented to school committees, and school committees have to give us a thumbs up or not.
So you could just say with the passage of question 2, comma, how do you ensure high quality instruction? Da, 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 da.
I like that.
Do you want to put measurement? How do you ensure and measure? Verify?
Well, so how do you ensure?
Which, like, right, don't we have to have,
Well, if you're
We'd have to have
how do you
objective
ensure?
methods.
How do you ensure that you're meeting curriculum framework standards?
thank you. That high quality instruction learning,
Continues to meet curriculum framework.
I guess it's
So we're going with the last one there. Okay. Suzanne.
2 hours in.
Staffing and leadership development.
the question asked by the search committee, does it have to be a past district or can it also be a current district? I mean, everybody's working in the district, so.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be fast. You can just take out the past district. Or you just change your name.
Yeah.
Any discussion? We like that one? Sounds good?
Okay, with
I'm not hearing any, seeing some nods. I'm hearing any- Okay, let's go with it. School safety and crisis management.
So the one in red, tell us about a crisis. The crisis, I mean, they could take that to mean any type of thing, not necessarily school safety and crisis management. So if we wanted to go with that, maybe make it a little more specific.
Okay, you could like combine lots of two, put school safety in there, a school safety crisis. About a school safety crisis.
Or, I guess my other question would be, could we add into either one of those questions, what do you see as some of the greatest threats to school safety in this day and age?
Okay, that's all too.
And how would you?
And then how do you ensure that's it?
I like it.
That
Yep.
sounds good, Charlotte.
Yep. Dictate again for grade schools.
So which one, the first one or second one?
I think it probably,
Yeah.
see, don't you see some of that?
Because, right, yeah.
School safety.
So you want to take out the tell us about, that what you're saying, take that out?
I was saying, I think, you could just say, what do you see as some of the greatest threats to school safety, and then how do you, attempt to mitigate those threats?
So we're gonna get rid of the tell us about.
Right, so I made it very much.
We are. I like it.
The first part could, I think it could all just stay in there.
Well,
You know,
basically,
More than a 5 minute on that.
Yeah.
yeah, I think,
yeah, yeah.
No, I.
What you,
maybe they'll answer by example anyways.
in all these cases, you're looking for, these are competency-based questions. You're looking for an example from their past on, and how they did this in the past and what they think in the future. So, I mean, you're gonna take these, they're gonna go to their past and they'll go, let me think about a crisis I handled. So you don't have to ask me, tell me about a crisis, they're gonna think about, let me think of what I've done in the past, and let me give you an example of that. So I think it's kind of redundant to ask that in that way, so. Yeah. So is there any objections to this one?
I think that that should be just to add on to the end should be how do you mitigate those threats and ensure safe schools? Because mitigating the threat and ensuring a safe school for the future are two different aspects of that.
I like it.
Any other discussion on that? Objections? No, I don't see any. Okay, let's move on. Culture. Community engagement. Well, there's only one there. Take it. Any issues, edits, modifications? Not hearing none?
Just that, I'm just looking at the municipal officials, if there's anybody else like us. Because one of the other questions, sample questions had, how do you keep school committee informed? So,
How about we just put in with district stakeholders?
Yep.
And municipal officials. Stakeholders and municipal officials. Let's add stakeholders in there. We are stakeholders. Good ahead.
it is really important, that municipal part.
Yeah.
That's right.
Regional district.
Budget.
Okay. Equitable access to students, another one that just won there. Any edits to this?
It's an important question.
I think it's pretty good the way it is.
That was a question that was edited. So it was already edited and sent to me. So that's why it's not something, it's a little expanded from what was in the list you saw. All right, no issues. Health, safety, wellness, here we have two to pick from here.
Just a question, but thinking about the number of questions overall, could we combine our health, wellness, and student well-being with the school safety and crisis management?
We may be able to.
I just,
What I think we should do is let's go through each category
Yeah.
and pick the question in each category. Then we'll compile those up, count them up, and say what ones we want to get rid of or combine. Because I think we're going to end up with about a dozen, and then we need to get rid of a few.
Just keep
Right. Let's filter from the categories first and then go back.
Well, I like the one in red.
maybe two.
yes.
Okay. Any disagreements with that? And hearing none, let's highlight the one in red.
That community outreach, the word engagement comes to mind. I don't know if it's better than outreach. Thanks, man. I don't know if it's better, but it's,
It's more of a back and forth. than a one.
it's more like we're working together.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Next one. This is the only one. Any edits to it? I will say this was, this was, one that had a lot of votes in the search committee. This one was like 7 or 8 people wanted this one. I was like, okay, it's clearly we're gonna do this one. Just throwing it out there.
The second part of that, this says, should CBRSD invest more? I think it's a good question. What I'd be interested to know is what are some suggestions for doing that? How can we invest more? Maybe we don't need to, but, you know, like the dual enrollment with the early childhood.
You could say, should CBRSD invest more, and what would that look like?
Yep.
It's like that. I will say that in my last 3 days, this came up a lot as well. In the last 3 days with the visits and in the meet group afterwards. So I think it's a pretty relevant question to ask. We should.
I prefer the red one over the black one because the black one really depends on our own district, and there would be an advantage to someone who knows the ins and outs of our district opposed to the other one, which can give a little bit more of an open answer.
Okay. Any objections to that?
No, but maybe like more specifically about moving towards the vision of success, like what is the success they're moving towards? Like,
What does that mean?
yeah, I don't know how to say it, but yeah, almost like adding in a piece about, you know, how would you assess the challenges that we were facing, and then work towards.
Moving towards your vision of success is defined. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Your vision. What is your vision? See, that's good. I like that.
What does that mean on right? Because
So the work has already been done in the district.
Under
Well,
the
Rather
password.
just like-
right honor
The password.
honor
Yeah.
this. Okay.
This just makes my thing. Good job, Craig.
But we have a follow-up to that question, that is, and how would you measure success?
Yeah, thank you.
Well, in the sheet that came out, there was something about, you know, what does that look like in 5 years or something, so. You know, how do you, maybe some combination of like,
I think you can leave it just at that, and they can pull 1 year, 5 year thing. Speed to it.
right,
We don't want, I mean, I don't think you need to get specific timeline. Yeah.
but we do have our strategic plan, our school improvement plans, and everything that would, yeah, theoretically, for the most part, be followed until they get changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't change those every year, do we?
You know,
The school improvement plan, or the district improvement plan, is the yearly implementation of that. And those school improvement plans build off of the district improvement plan.
So they are.
So they are revised in.
So basically, it builds off a strategic plan, but it's more responsive to current needs.
Okay, I thought there was like a longer, like a 3-year,
There
like a
is.
longer time
There
period
is,
built
there's
in
a,
as
there's a
well.
5-year strategic
Yes,
plan.
okay.
Then there's a 1-year district improvement plan, which builds off of that, but also is more specific to what we, like, assessment results and
Yeah.
anything else that may
And
come
then
up.
how each school is gonna
Yes,
partake in that. Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Good with this one?
Yep.
Yep.
Next category? Okay. It would take a while.
Sort of like the third one.
Maybe change tell me about to describe the most difficult decision.
No, she's bad. Kind of the same. School. Anybody else?
It's about decision-making, right?
Mm.
How would we capture the leadership?
Well, expand it from student to anybody in the district, faculty, things.
Right.
Right, yeah, doesn't have to be,
Yeah.
right.
Or are we?
During a situation.
Describe the most difficult decision you've made in a leadership role.
There you go.
There you go, sure.
Nice work.
All right.
We good?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, last category. Yeah.
It's pretty good, just said.
Yeah.
What do we got?
I think we haven't done it. Let's choose that.
So, maybe also, great, let's, save it to the different committee.
We have a new document.
Oh, you got it going? Oh, all right, you guys are on it.
Tech quiz.
Rich, were we gonna report out on the, questions we asked, the reference checks? No?
I will speak to that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm gonna give a whole list of things that we're gonna be giving to the committee at the end before, so they have basically feel like go through everything. Okay.
Okay. This what, I don't know if I did it right, but I just put question 1 and then I looked at all the responses and I put down all those responses. So it's not who said what necessarily, but have people responded.
Yes, yeah, because I don't think we want to put names to any of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the list.
Give me a second.
Oh,
All right. Good stuff.
Keep chatting.
Yeah.
I missed the bus.
so how many do we have?
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
We have 12.
Not bad.
Do we want to go with 12?
The Baker's dozen.
If we only get through 10, we only get through 10, just leave them up there? instead of worrying about eliminating one or two. Well, here's the thing,
As
let's,
long as you go, so if you don't get through all 12 with the first one, but the problem is if you get through all 12 with the first one and then you don't with the second one, now we've got, yeah.
it's really about, we have to have an hour to answer the questions. And it's about time management. So that's part of the situation.
Yeah.
So, they'll know there's a dozen. If we only get through 10, we only get through 10. I would say that the only issue I have with doing that is basically if you only get through 10 or 9, the bottom three are the ones that don't get asked, right? So do we want to prioritize the questions? So if we do not, if we only ask 10, what are the top 10 we want to ask? Like, well, maybe what are the least combinations? I don't know, that's a tough question to ask, like, given all these questions. Maybe category wise.
Are you gonna hold them to 5 minutes? Because that's now.
Is that,
Oh,
Yeah, so the idea was 5 minutes per question. 10 questions is an hour. If they go faster, you know,
but that doesn't leave room for kind of introduction, settling, you know.
10 questions is 50 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know, 12 was an hour. So at an hour, wherever we're at the end of the discussion.
But there's good questions at the end.
That's the question. How do we want to do it? Do we want to just eliminate 2 and
Didn't we talk about combining these? You said there was something coming up that, I don't remember.
Curriculum, something under
I
curriculum.
think it might be possible to combine health, wellness, and student well-being with the school safety and crisis management. Maybe not. Maybe that's challenging.
could you say use something like,
Yeah.
how would you maximize? I like maximize sometimes better than ensure because it's pretty hard
Yes.
to ensure. So you might want to say, you could say something like, how would you maximize safe and healthy school environments or school settings? That's pretty
And that would
open
tie it
ended.
into
Yeah, I think you could take
program.
the second part of that first question, how would you address these concerns, and put that down, just add that on to the, what do you see as some of the greatest threats to school safety?
You get rid of how do you mitigate?
Yeah.
Yep. So that's 11.
And then get rid of things.
is there one more that we can do that too?
Charlotte, you know, work your magic.
How about the vision motivation? Is there another one after that?
Yeah, I do have the first one, professional growth. What stands out to you about our district's unique assets and challenges? Might be able to fit in with that vision and future planning question.
Yeah. Could we just look at down a little bit?
It's
Call
that.
it.
So I think if you put in the first part, what stands out to you about our district's unique assets and challenges, and then the follow-up question there is, sorry,
I'm moving around on you, sorry.
as she's going out to interrupt you. How would you, and then I think, how would you honor the district's past work while moving toward addressing those challenges?
Yeah. That's that.
Just don't get rid of as the new soup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because clearly, they would do the also
While addressing those challenges, yeah.
Okay.
Wait, which one are you going?
So this one up here.
Oh. Okay.
What's the,
We just took one out on the skill set, right?
Yes, kind of like that one.
And that's like that clown, point of mine.
Yeah, the person.
Yeah, that was-
That's when we took what stands out of you better districts, unique assets and challenges.
You could put, I mean, you could add it into,
I think you could.
Won't that question kind of be addressed by the person doing their introduction? Because they're gonna say, I feel I should be the superintendent of this school because I blah, 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 blah. So I don't know if we need to ask their skill sets when they're gonna tell us their skill sets in their introductions.
Introduction.
Well, and now we have time for one.
I mean, you definitely has to, introduce yourself and then also, any final statement, so.
yeah.
That's probably 1 in 10
I
questions.
do also feel like part of all of these questions is trying to get at what your skill set is, because, I mean, you can say whatever your skill set is. I could say that I'm 10 feet tall. I'm sure not. but-
How does your skill set match our district's unique assets and challenges?
Throwing it in there.
Greg, is this something I can pull? I believe so. I think we share out to everybody. It's the same document.
Oh, okay. I got it. In the back.
So do we want to do Steve's addition into that question, just throw the skill sets in there? I mean, I agree it's kind of redundant, but be a little more specific. I'm not hearing any support.
No, I think it's a good, I like that last question. I'd like to see it embedded somewhere. But I think it could go with what stands out to you about our district's unique assets and challenges, and why do you believe your skill set matches blah, blah, blah.
So just leave it as the original question. And then get rid of the vision and future planning question.
No.
Because all the black was the original question under personal and professional growth.
Okay.
How do you believe your skill set is a good match to address those challenges?
Yeah, kind of bringing it together.
Well, it's 11 questions right now, isn't it? 55 minutes.
These kids are thing.
Yeah.
I know, people think,
Technically.
making 3 questions.
Well, I mean, it's wordsmith, but it's,
Good match to address those challenges.
yeah.
Yes.
So how would you use your skill set to address those challenges?
Why do you believe your skill set is a good match? And
So you could say, how do you,
And how? Why do you think your skill set is a good match for our needs, and how would you honor the district's past while addressing these challenges?
Get wordy.
so it's fine as
It's a
is.
good match for our district, that simple. And then they can talk about whether the match is to assets or challenges, or a little bit of both. You guys got a good football team, I like football, I don't know.
Say that again, Jake?
Just like, good match for our district. Isn't that it? Then
Yes.
they can talk about,
Okay, yeah.
I'm sort of addressing the assets and challenges, and it's kind of a nice opening question
Right.
to the point that was made online.
yes,
I am not opposed to that at all. Just the part in red, if we get rid of that,
Yeah.
then
Yep.
we have gone back to just the one question that we had under personal and professional growth. I'm not opposed. I'm just,
I'm not sure.
So I'm getting rid of the red,
Yeah.
and I'm changing anything.
you're changing needs to district districts.
good match for our district.
Just around
And then-
our district. Thank you. And then eliminating it from the bottom.
On the bottom of
Now I'm gonna get rid of this one.
Yes,
and we're at 10.
and we're at 10.
Do we think that, yeah, we're at 10?
I'm gonna get rid of the headers and I'm gonna have them all in one spot.
Yeah, well, hold up here, please. Well, the reason I say that is because, like, I think one of the things we want to do is prioritize, so we don't have to prioritize them all. But I just heard that people think this is a really good opening question. So do we want that as the opening question?
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, but do you mind if I get rid of these, then we can put them in order? That way everybody can see all the questions.
Okay. Who's fact you want that one first?
Yep.
We won't, you, oh, that's okay.
Mine's great. I want to know.
It moves around when you start on the top.
Yeah.
Just put it in a spreadsheet, it'll be easier.
Yeah, right? Google Docs. Hey, she's in my.
I can't even find it, that's how friendly it is to me. So
Which one?
the whole document.
Oh.
Charlotte's on it.
Oh, that's got bigger.
We down to 9?
Oh,
Definitions too.
it's what's there. Okay. That does. I think so. We have 10.
Whoa.
Yeah, certainly.
Do we want to prioritize more? Or should we haven't even prioritized yet?
We just brought that one to the top.
Yeah, we just made that one.
Um, yeah, I think that it's,
The kids people get to.
personally, I would say just solid. I think with either 5 or 6, one of those could maybe go a little bit lower, just to, because I feel like they're, I don't know, hitting at some of the same things, and I think, so just move one, so that, you know, if we don't get to all of them.
I'd say move 5 lower.
Okay.
And I would imagine we're gonna get to all of them, because if everybody, you know.
Right.
With 5
I do
minutes
hope
per-
so, I'm
yeah.
just, you know,
How low do you want to fall? After school safety?
yeah, just, you can just put it at the bottom,
Or at the very bottom?
yeah.
Anybody have any issues with it?
Yeah, just 2 quick comments.
Go ahead.
It's not to derail at all. Is I don't, the question 2 question is just weird, but I don't understand how question 2 and standards and stuff all fit together. But
So you want to look at question 2 again?
no, question 4.
Question.
Sorry.
I mean, you can get rid of the part that says with the passage of
Yeah.
question too.
Really?
So it's kind of irrelevant. It's not really connected.
No.
So, I mean, if you want their opinion on the goal of MCAS or standardized assessment, that's a kind of a different question.
But what we're really looking for is for high quality instruction.
So that's an important question.
Right.
And the other question I struggle a little bit, even though I know Richard got really good feedback of the vocational question. And, I mean, we're not going to become a vocational school, we're probably not going to reach Chapter 74 program, so.
So maybe, I know what you're saying, Gene. What I heard in the last few days is there's some, pathways.
I'm going to talk about innovative pathways, we're going to predict that, so. We'll talk about innovative pathways and internships, so we kind of predict what they're going to say.
You can. But I can't.
Okay, fair enough.
Well,
now we all know.
It sounded, I have to tell you, I was interested, and I want to make sure we're doing that sort of thing
Okay.
from what I heard, and I'm not that familiar with it, right? So, I mean, you're in education, you know, you're going to hear about that. I think for other people who aren't in education, I think it's important, focus important, and there's more emphasis on it now. It's an opportunity for us to maybe do kind of vocalize, I don't know what you call it, but
Could we change that to saying something like, how can we expand our students' vocational opportunities without necessarily becoming a vocational district?
Well, I think really the question is about students that don't fit the traditional academic model.
Right.
Right.
And so we want to provide them those opportunities, but also I don't think that the way that we're going to do that, to Jake's point, is by adding in a whole bunch of shops.
well, we're not going to do that.
Right. And so I'm saying the question really is, how do you how can we expand vocational opportunities for our students so that they still have the ability to take those classes, but we aren't necessarily investing in
Building shops.
classes themselves. Right?
So maybe we take vocational out and just say, just kind of what you were saying about, you know, or what you had mentioned, the students that aren't.
How do we invest in,
And then they called it the pathways to,
yeah,
I forget what the term was. Jake, you know what the term is, right?
Innovative pathways.
Innovative pathways is kind of the term. But what I heard from that was it's a way for traditional high schools to support those students that are not on a traditional track. How do you say that? I think you guys are right. You say vocational, like the reason Jake brought it up. You say vocation. Hey, we're not going to turn this into a vocation school. That might scare people into thinking that we're thinking, oh, we're going to start adding, you know, shops to the side of the building. You know, that's not the point of it. It's more of, you know, there's techniques out there that can help those students that are on traditional pathways in a traditional high school. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Maybe I'm answering the question for them. I don't know. I think I heard a couple different examples, and I thought I was very intrigued by it. That was one that everybody asked, so I think it's an important question to address, just to maybe hear about what people think they can do in that situation. I don't know. It is, mind you, it is very high school focused. It's not elementary, not the whole school. So, what do you think? You want to wordsmith it a little bit, or no?
No, I don't know. I mean, I think in one hand, you're asking about kids when I go to college. But to ask the question, I just support students when I'm going directly to college.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And another way you're asking about sort of your general approach to college and career / post-high school readiness,
Yeah,
which is kind of a broader set of things that your high school is working on. So I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit of a mix there, but I just think we should be. I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm fine. I think we got some decent answers for sure. We know what we're gonna hear for the most part. I'd be impressed if the candidates came in and they knew actually what percentage of our kids go to college. I'd be impressed if they knew how many percent of those kids who say they're going to college actually get a degree. They could get that data. I'd be curious, you know, that they could talk about that.
well,
I think just my opinion on that one is you're kind of looking for something that's contextual to Central Berkshire. So you could ask about people's opinions on innovative pathways and vocational trade, and you'll get a whole variety of answers. But what you're really trying to figure out is how you're supporting students' college and career readiness, but kind of career readiness within the context of Central Berkshire School District. So what that does is kind of requires them to be prepared with that information, like how many students do go on to college, and you know, what does that look like? Because you want them to know something
Sure.
about Central Berkshire. So I don't have words, but I just think you do want to get an answer that matches our context in some ways,
Good.
or is relevant to us. And has more relevance. So I do kind of agree with what you're saying, Jake, in that around the relevance to us component.
So how do we wordsmith that to get to that?
Shall we?
I think you have to change the second sentence. So that instead of asking, should CBRSD invest more, instead, say, how do you recommend CBRSD better support and invest in the career readiness of our students?
Okay.
I don't know. Jake, go at it.
I'm just misdiagnosing, that's all.
But then the first part of that doesn't really need to be there.
What's your perspective on that?
Well,
Yeah, you're right.
Right, because it's not specific.
Yeah.
It's a generalized question of a
Yeah.
vocational or trade program.
Right, right.
Right.
I agree. Yeah.
So then maybe that's.
It's almost a leading
But that's what
question.
I'm saying. I think your question is really getting at
Yeah.
what I was saying before, which is,
Right.
yeah, how does CBRSD support,
Yeah.
you know, our career readiness and students that
Yeah.
would like to pursue or are going to pursue vocational and trade training.
So get rid of that first part. What is your perspective? Because, right?
Yeah.
It's not all. No problem. Get in the first part.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know if you need to invest.
Yeah, I think it's just,
I'll do a second sentence, makes no sense.
how should CBRSD invest in more career readiness opportunities?
More opportunities for career readiness.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
I think that should also have student in there opposed to career readiness, implying that, you might be looking at teacher development instead of students.
For student.
Yeah, I
career
think that is part of the best part, right?
Yeah.
But when we simplify.
I think we did it.
Especially on the screen. A couple of years since I've done this.
We should have some evaluation of our current career readiness pathways.
Well, that's what Jake was saying. Okay. This is-
A perspective that I would come from would be that we do lose students from 8th grade to 9th grade to some of our vocational schools. And so, that seems, now, I don't have the numbers, but I might have to be honest, and I can get those for you, but I don't know what they look like, but it seems to be, is it increasing a little bit, or it seems to be a little bit higher, and it's a concern on the part of the town. That's a question I always get. So the question from that perspective would be to pull out students and offer them opportunities for career readiness, to so that,
So just adding in like retain.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's sort of my perspective on the state of the state. for that.
So like you can, for career readiness to retain the. Explain that.
But I'm wondering if this is more in line with the students that are at Wahconah that, because we're never going to compete with a Smith or, you know.
No,
But like, how are we going to lose the students that we have that kind of get lost in the shuffle?
Yeah.
I know, but we have like
Yeah.
robotics
Yeah.
and financial management and things like that, right? So.
So I don't know if we're ever going to retain.
The question's good.
I think that's the point.
Just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Where it is now.
I think we can wordsmith it
From
to
a
death.
Right.
Yes, we did. Believe me, I've been really like trying to keep that not happening. It's been my goal. But where's the comma go? No, thank you. Yeah. So we have 10.
Right.
Are we good with that?
Yes.
Any objections? So we have to vote on this. Can I get a motion to approve these questions?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Dr. Crefries,
Yes.
Charlotte Crane,
Yes.
Dr. Eberwein,
Yes.
Todd Emerson,
Yes.
Mr. Farella, Ellen Adazori, Elizabeth Lounsbury,
Yes.
John Mason,
Yes.
Stephen Morantz,
Yes.
Elizabeth Oakes,
Yes.
Robert Lorenzo, Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Sarah Tucker, Kimberly.
Yes.
Kimberly Weatherall, Rich Peters.
Yes, motion carries. Nice job, folks. Good job. I really had no idea how that was gonna go, so I really appreciate the effort there. Next is the interview schedules. So just for next Wednesday, we're gonna do all three on one night. I think you all have heard that already. There was some challenges in doing what night we were gonna do, what nights, that sort of thing. So we're gonna do it all one night, and we're gonna select the candidate afterwards. So we're gonna start with, the school committee needs to arrive at 4:15. There will not be a Zoom option for the school committee to not be in attendance. So you need to be there. There will be a Zoom option for the public to watch, but no interaction on the interview. So, so folks need to be in attendance, from the school committee.
What time did you say?
You should be there by 4:45 because the first interview is gonna start at 5.
But I thought you said 4:15.
Yes.
Sorry,
Oh, yeah.
I may have said that.
Yes.
Matt,
I didn't know it was wrong. Barbara did.
The pizza will be there at 4:30 if you want.
Oh, there, 4:30.
We will have pizza for the first interview, just to grab a slice away because it will take a while. So we're gonna do 50 minutes for each candidate, a 15-minute break in between them, so we discuss what we just heard, and we'll have these there. Then, after the second interview, we're gonna have to vote to extend the meeting because we're starting at, 5 o'clock and we're gonna go until 9:30, so we're going beyond. We have to vote to extend the meeting to get all three of them in. And then after the last one, we will debate the what we've heard from all three. And then decide, somebody will make a motion, just like, somebody will make a motion and we'll make a vote. And if that person passes, that's the end of it. If it doesn't get a majority vote, we make a motion on another candidate. So that's the process that we have to use. And it's all in open session.
Just like we did earlier, we've talked about this a few times. Can we do it by ballot? This nomination thing. I mean, we've all talked about this and filling appointments, empty seats, and whatnot when we have multiple candidates. I think we all kind of came to the conclusion that the first to raise your hand, it's the nomination, and that's kind of not as fair as a ballot. Even if it takes a couple of rounds.
I am told that this is the path we have to use. Somebody makes a motion and you pick on somebody. That's the path I was told I needed to use. So that's the path that they use, that's the path I'm gonna take.
That's an ASC.
Was that Liz?
Yeah,
Did you ask her about ballots?
yes.
And she said we can't do it right. Shall we use the ballot to narrow it down and then make a nomination of the person who wants?
No.
Well, I'm just trying to, because, I'm just saying, we went
no
through this a
ballots,
few
so,
times.
I
you know?
don't disagree with you that the process is weird. Okay, but that is the process and that's the
Okay.
process we're gonna follow. And I totally agree with you, but it's not gonna go. So, the last bit I'll just mention is that, we're gonna be sharing with the committee. You'll be getting emails you already got their letters of recommendation. The personnel committee has been going through, calling all the references and asking a certain set of questions, and we're compiling those answers to those questions, and that will all be shared with you as well. So between now and then, we also have from the meet and greets, after the meet and greets and after the site visits, there's a survey went out from all site visits. So we'll compile those answers as well and those comments. So I'll share all those comments from both the references, the site visits, and all the letters of references you already have. So you'll have all that information between now and next Wednesday to read through, because you should read through it, because there's a lot of comments in there. So you get that information from the public that was put out there. So you'll have all that data to go through before we hit the interviews. So I'll get that stuff out to you by the end of the day tomorrow. By the end of the working day tomorrow. Okay? I think that's pretty much all I have. I'll just mention the setup. It's gonna be at Nessicus. And we're gonna do the U shape. We're gonna tighten the U shape up so we have more room for audience members. And the candidate it'll be a narrower piece, and the candidate will be at the head of the table. And myself and I, like the personnel committee, to kind of sit right at the right there. And after we do the interviews and we go into the debate, I'll go back to the center so I can see people raise their hands. That's the way it goes. But anyways, for that discussion about selecting the candidate. Any questions on any of that? Okay. So next up is any old business? Any new business? Remarks for the good of the committee? How about, can I get a motion to adjourn? Second. I get a motion in a second. Roll call vote, please.
Dr. Crabtree,
Yes.
Charlotte Crane,
Yes.
Dr. Eberlein,
Yes.
Todd Emerson,
Yes.
Elizabeth Lounsbury,
Yes.
John Mason,
Yes.
Stephen Morantz,
Yes.
Elizabeth Oakes,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Sarah Tucker,
Yes.
Rich Peters.
Yes, we'll adjourn. Thank you all. That was actually, that's good. And I thought,
Thanks for that. Yeah, I recommend that.